Well, thank you so much for reaching out to schedule this. I appreciate it.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Thank you. And I apologize for that delay, Commissioner. I was looking at my screen that has, for some reason, disabled the video, and it's now saying connected. So I've been having technical issues all day. I'm away from my usual connection, relying on my hotspot on my cell phone. So that may have a little bit to do with this. But thank you for accepting. I really just wanted to reach out and just say hello. I wanted to introduce myself. We have met briefly in the hallways, I believe, on 2 separate occasions. And I wanted to just have a chance to say hello to you, speak to you briefly, and give us both the opportunity to get to know at least some background information and just the basics about each other. Nothing really deep.
Very good. And I will tell you, I usually, this was a weird election for me because I was on the, the canvassing board for the supervisor. Otherwise, yes, normally I would be out rubbing elbows and getting to know people early. So that's why you didn't see any of me anywhere on the campaign trail or anything. Usually I like to know what's going on and get to know people early, but this time I very intentionally stayed away from any events and things.
I can understand that. I can understand it. And of course, hasn't COVID complicated everything for everybody?
Yes. Yes, it has.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So trust me, I truly understand, and I thank you for that. So, Commissioner Ward, I just simply wanted to know more about you, literally a little bit about your background, where you're from, what your ideals are, how you decided that you wanted to take this office. Literally, this is just 2 people meeting. If we could have met for coffee just to say hello and get to know a little bit more about each other, that's what this would be. So this is like virtual coffee in my mind.
With everybody watching us. That's always fun.
With everybody watching, for sure.
So I'm from Gainesville. I grew up here, and I'm East Side grad, Howard Bishop grad, and have been kind of involved in a variety of different political things over the years. And I ran for county commission in 2014, didn't win. And that's a blessing because I really, really love the city job. I enjoy the work that comes in front of us. And there's so much good that we can do that has a direct impact on people's lives. I mean, yesterday we removed fares for RTS for everyone under 18 and over 65, or 65 and over. And I feel like that's the kind of thing that changes lives for the better. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we get to do great stuff like that really does have a direct impact on people. So I've been in this job since 17. I'm term limited in this job the end of next year. And my wife works at UF, and we've got 3 kids, one in high school, one in middle school, one in elementary school. The thing that really propelled me into this job was working with homeless services. And that's still kind of the thing that piques my interest the most, and figuring out how we can do the best we can for the people who literally and truly have the least ability to do anything for themselves. Mm-hmm. But there's a whole lot more to the job than that, and I try to enjoy every piece of it. So tell me about you.
Yeah. Well, so my family's roots go back to the beginnings of Gainesville. We are pioneer citizens, if you will. History can be traced back to those that were enslaved at Hale Plantation, also to those who escaped Rosewood. Over the years, my family have been farmers, we've been educators, we've been civil servants, we've been members of the clergy, and we've been deeply entrenched in the Gainesville community through service. And I think that is, or has had a large impact on my decision to jump in, particularly at this point in my life. I have a 95-year-old grandfather who I have the blessing of seeing every single day. Bless his heart, he is a businessman and started a business almost 70, yeah, 70 years ago. And he still goes to work every day. But bless his heart. I'm praying some of that trickles down. There you go. There you go. And I'm praying some of that trickles down, honestly, Commissioner Ward. But it's watching my grandfather that has really inspired me in so many different ways. I have an immense respect for elders because I watch my mother, who manages our business, care for him. So she lives with my grandfather, doesn't have to, but she has for a number of years. My grandmother passed away back in, what was it, I believe it was 2011. And my grandparents had met each other on the playground out at the old Liberty Hill School, which is, the building is still standing there now, but it's a historic location. And that's where they met when they were, I believe my grandmother was.
Where is that?
So, okay, if you know where, of course, you know where Santa Fe College is. If you're on 23rd, there is, I don't know that intersecting street, Commissioner Ward. My mother has always told me I'm terrible with directions, and she's right. But it's very close to Santa Fe College. That property out there, my family owned hundreds of acres out there. It was gifted to my great-grandfather many years ago. But the whole point is there was a tiny little school that still stands where my grandparents met. My grandmother saw my grandfather, who was always a quiet and meek young man, out on the playground. Her mother was subbing at the school that day, which is why she was there. She looked at my grandmother. She said, "Do you see that little boy right there?" And my great-grandmother said, "Yeah, I see him." My grandmother said, "I'm going to marry him one day."
Oh.
And sure enough, yeah, when she was 18, she was 5 years old when she said that. 5 years old. And he was, what was my grandfather, 13. So sure enough, when she turned 18, they made that happen. But the point is that my grandfather was an ambitious young man. He was a country boy, farmed, used to fresh food and working with his hands. But he decided one day that he wanted to be a businessman. And so he set his sights on doing that, went into mortuary science. And that is the business that my family has been in for well over 100 years. So I love people. I tell people all the time, that's not the kind of business that you get into to make money, because it's not always guaranteed that you're going to get it. But the other piece is you're dealing with people at one of the most tragic times in their lives. So human compassion is essential. I watched him, since I was a little girl, and how he dealt with people with just basic human compassion. He taught his three girls, he and my grandmother taught his three girls to be the same way. And so I like to think that a little bit of that has trickled down to me. In everything I do, I let that be one of the tenets in which I make the decisions in my life and in which I deal with people. So basic human compassion. I attended as well the public schools of Alachua County. I heard you say Howard Bishop. I went to Duval Elementary School, and then I went to Howard Bishop.
Right.
Gainesville High School for 1 year, finished up out at Buchholz, was the first African-American female president of SGA out there. Right. Loved Buchholz. Absolutely loved it. Funny story with that. When I went out there, I didn't love it so much. I think you can probably imagine when you start off at a particular high school, that's where you want to remain. You develop an allegiance to that school. I was a hurricane to my heart. Went on a summer trip with my grandparents, came back home to my parents saying, "Guess what? We're moving and you'll be going to Buchholz next year." I was devastated. I was devastated, but got out to Buchholz and really, really had a wonderful time, found my way, got involved in a lot of different things and had a great experience there. Graduated in 1994, left immediately, went to Bethune-Cookman University. It was Bethune-Cookman College then. So tiny little Methodist school, small private Methodist school. Got a wonderful education there. Went on vacation after I graduated, Commissioner Ward, to Miami and stayed. Went on vacation down there and stayed. Met wonderful people. Started working for Miami-Dade County with their Department of Park Recreation. And they are the arts and culture. They are arts and culture. We're a division of cultural affairs here. But started working down there, had a wonderful, wonderful experience with some amazing individuals who I will never forget. Vivian Rodriguez was the director at that time. Jack Cardis was the assistant director. I remember those names because they had such an incredible and indelible impact on me as an employee. And so when I look at my experience here in Gainesville, I hope that we are able to provide those types of memorable and positive and impactful experiences for our employees here. I know we're doing this culture audit, and I know that that issue or that idea is one of the things that I'm hoping is kind of at the forefront of that. You know, how do we ensure that our employees can leave work, can, even if they so choose, go somewhere else and say about the city of Gainesville, I had a wonderful experience there. These people impacted me in this way. Many years later, I left there in 2007, I believe it was. And here we are in 2021, and I'm still singing the praises of the individuals there. So I had a great time in Miami, left there, went to Atlanta for a little while, came back, put 10 years between my bachelor's degree, which is in speech communications, and my master's degree, which is in business, but with an emphasis in entertainment. Because what I did not tell you is my passion and my love is theater. That's one of the things that I really have enjoyed a lot, largely because I like connecting with people. And live theater gives you the opportunity to educate, inspire, inform, and connect with folks in a live venue. So that's been a large part of who I was. Calling on that desire to serve that I was raised with and that I just believe was put in me from the very beginning. I moved back to Gainesville in 2014, and I moved back very intentionally because there's no place like home. I've always believed that. I had been gone for about 25 years, and I felt this pulling back home. So I came, and I had the opportunity to jump back in with my family's business, help out with that. And it wasn't long before some people who had known me before summoned me to do different things in the community, and I had the opportunity to join the FAPS board, Fifth Avenue Pleasant Street board through the CRA. That was a great experience, and then eventually had the chance to assume the position at the Aquin Jones Museum and Cultural Center, which is another fabulous experience that gave me a lot of insight that I look forward to reaching back to, and us taking a look at the cultural assets that we have here in Gainesville that are amazing, that could still use a little bit of help. Mm-hmm. So my heart, at the core of who I am, Commissioner Ward, I am an advocate for the community because they are, it's where obviously there are a lot of people who I know I love, who've nurtured me over the years, who have come in and out of my grandfather's business. But I, at the core of who I am a community advocate. And I look forward to bringing whatever my experience, my insight, my passion, and certainly my desire to craft policy to help the community as we move forward in this journey ahead.
That sounds wonderful. The great thing about this commission that we serve on is there is such a variety of experience on our dais. I mean, just very, very different people. And that's a joy to me to work with people in such a variety of backgrounds. And you mentioned theater. My theater has been a huge influence on my oldest daughter. She's 16. She was in some plays at the Hippodrome and has been involved in drama in school. But seeing how it has, I've always enjoyed theater personally, but seeing how it has changed her as a person and made her able to interact with the world differently, you will find no bigger supporter of the arts than me at whatever level.
That's excellent. I want to share this with you. So when I went down to Miami-Dade County, first, when I moved down to Miami, I started out in research and evaluation. And I was able to do that because Like I said, I went down on vacation and decided I wanted to stay. My mother said, would you mind maybe coming back home first? Let us find you a place to stay. I said, yeah, let's do that. That's important. In doing that, I was able to get hooked up with a family friend who took me on, gave me my first job in Miami. It was in research and evaluation. Learned a lot of things there. She knew my passion for theater, and she told me the very first day that I got there, she said, listen, I don't expect you to stay here, but I think there's some valuable tools you might be able to pick up from here. And then I want you to go. I want you to pursue your dream. So I stayed there for a few years because I developed a love and a passion for the evaluation process. I was doing research and evaluation for human service organizations at the Thurston Consulting Group. It was the premier consulting firm in Miami-Dade County at that time. Had the opportunity to do a show down at the African Heritage Cultural Arts Center in Liberty City. And doing that show afterwards, the director of that facility, Mr. Marshall Davis, offered me a job teaching theater there. And I took it. And I have to tell you this, it was one of the most rewarding things I have ever done in my life. So Liberty City is one of the most embattled cities in this country. To the tune that when my father heard that I was moving or that I was going to be changing jobs and working there, he was very concerned. Oh, Desmond, I don't like that. I don't think I like that. I said, Dad, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Now, understand that here in Gainesville, many mango seasons ago, I had taught Shakespeare to youth over at the Thomas Center in the Summer Cultural Arts Program, okay? And so I was thinking, I am going to take Shakespeare to the inner city. The kids are going to be, their horizons are going to be broad. We're going to do this cutting edge stuff. And I got their commission award and I saw some very serious disparities that broke my heart. It also challenged and almost broke me because I was being pulled in a direction that I felt at the onset I was going to be very uncomfortable with. I wasn't a teacher. I was a theater coach or a theater director. And the disparities that I was seeing were calling for the need to teach. And so immediately I was at a loss. And I felt like, wow, I'm in the wrong place because everything I thought I was going to be able to do, I can't do it. But I realized it was a teachable moment for me. And if I just sat still for a moment, I would be stretched and I would grow. So I let the kids take the lead. And wow, what a learning experience. We leaned heavily on improv. We leaned heavily on that and allowed the kids to create their own theater experiences. And the reason I'm saying this, Commissioner Ward, is for a couple of reasons. First of all, the importance and the power of the arts. That was a county facility. It was underneath Miami-Dade County, Cultural Affairs or Arts and Culture, as I said. And that program, that facility literally saved lives. I watched it. I had the chance to be a part of it. And like I said to you before, I can think of very few experiences thus far in my life that have been as rewarding. I believe in the power of the arts to pull together, to heal, and to save. So it was a wonderful experience. I look forward to at some point, possibly being able to duplicate what was done down in Miami, because there's so many ways that the arts can be used in our communities to do good work. So you'll find a serious proponent in me when it comes to the arts. I'm glad to know that you are a lover and supporter of theater. And that's just definitely been a huge part of who I am. Definitely been that.
That's great. When you mentioned city workers, a thing that some of our charters, in conversations over the last couple of weeks with 3 different charters, an idea kind of coalesced for me that I wish I had done when I first started. I'm going to have started scheduling work days with city workers. Not me picking who it's going to be, but let the charter pick where they want me to go and who they want me to spend the day with at least once a month. And I'll let you know how it works out. I'll let everybody know, but we have to do a better job of understanding. I have to do a better job of understanding what our workers need and how our empower or disempower them. So that's a thing that I'm going to start doing, to try to. One of my goals is to make working in the city of Gainesville the best place you could possibly work in North Florida.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Can I tell you that I love that idea? And I wanted to ask you a question. Here I am as the new kid on the block who's on a very steep learning curve. I'm glad you mentioned that because, as I mentioned before, obviously I've worked for the city of Gainesville and I've worked for Miami-Dade County. I was not aware that we could have that type of direct contact with the employees. Is that something that we can do? Because I look forward to that. See, having sat in that position before, I understand the need for them to see us, but also to feel connected to us in a way that helps them to understand that we are listening. I was just in a conversation in a meeting earlier this morning that actually had to do with the culture audit, in which I expressed concern for employees who express needs, express concerns, or have issues that never make it all the way up the hierarchy. So things that we could and should be making decisions about, things that we can and should be crafting our policy around, we never hear because the employees can't get to us. I love what you're saying. I had asked about that, and I'd like to know how it is that we're able to communicate directly with the staff or directly with the employees.
So the first year or so I was here, I felt like I wasn't supposed to do that. But most of our city workers are also neighbors here in the city.
Right.
I mean, we work for them.
Absolutely.
And so I made a decision that I was going to start doing outreach and having, I hold a couple times a year office hours at GPD. I've done 1 or 2 sessions over the Thomas Center for parks workers. I spent some time talking with GFR folks and try to get to know them better. But gosh, there's almost 2,500 city workers.
Right.
It's hard to get to know all of them, but I feel like it's my job to hear as many of them as want to talk to us.
Amen.
And that doesn't mean that, I can go in or any of us can go in and solve somebody's day-to-day work problem, but understanding the problem and understanding both sides of what they do and how it fits into the overall mission of what we want to see our city be. That's critical. That's critical. So what I just kind of do it. I just, for the office hours thing, I called Chief Jones and said, I want to do this. And I called the FOP president and said, I want to do this. And it got set up. And I say that it happened because Kristen made it happen. She did the scheduling for me. So it's very important for me. I'm not a great scheduler. But Kristen is. So right. As a team, we can get that stuff done. It was helpful to me to go through not only the chain of command through the city, but also to come at it from the bargaining unit side and let FOP know that I wanted to do that too. So it was a little less scary for them to want to come talk to me. And I'm the idea of the work days that evolved from my discussions with Tanisha Marshall and Omi and Ginger. It was kind of little bits and pieces of conversations I had with them that coalesced into, oh, well, this is obvious. I should be doing this.
Right.
So I would say talk to the charters and just get an idea from them because I'm not in this to try to create a difficult situation for the charters. I want them to be able to do their
work. Of course not. For sure.
But again, these people not only work for the city of Gainesville, they live in the city of Gainesville in large measure.
Absolutely.
I work for them.
Yeah. Now, I just want to be clear that I'm clear on who it is that you, are looking to meet with. So these are people that are not charters. These are the city employees that say work in public works, et cetera. That's who we're talking about, work in Parks and Rec.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And see,
Yeah.
that's what I'm talking about. Let me know, well, let me just say it like this. I'm glad to know that it is permissible, because I had been led to believe that it wasn't. So I can look forward to having those kinds of conversations as well, because I agree with you, Commissioner Ward. It's necessary for us in the decision-making process, but also when we start talking about the culture of the city, I believe it's healthy for them to understand that we're present, we're listening, and that we are paying attention to what their concerns are, because it's very, very easy for an employee to experience barriers to decision-making processes, to people who can help make their situations better. So I can applaud you in that. I see right now in that way we're like minds. So I definitely will be doing that as well.
I mean, and I'm careful to, whenever I talk with a city worker, to say, don't ask me to go in and tell your boss what they ought to be doing differently.
For sure. Yeah.
But I do want to hear, what are your challenges? What are your successes? Why do you want to do this work? Many of our workers have options. They can be working in a variety of places, and I want them to continue every day to choose this.
That's it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I can appreciate that. I certainly share that sentiment. Definitely.
Great. I'm going to be an evangelist for that kind of thing at this point. I want to get all 7 of us, into our city workforce.
Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you'll get no argument from me on that. I can remember wishing that I had a little more contact with, not to report on my manager, but it makes a difference. I can tell you now, these people were not commissioners, but here's the power of the people who are in upper level management, or the people who have influence, saying hello and being connected to the workers. Once again, when I worked in Miami-Dade County, and the reason that I know Vivian Rodriguez and Jack Cardis's names to this day is they were always accessible. They came around to us. I remember when I first took on my position, they made it their business to come and meet me. And if I can be completely transparent here, Commissioner Ward, when I started working for the city of Gainesville, particularly when I took on the role of museum coordinator at the A. Quinn Jones Museum, I made note of and shared with my manager that was one of the things that I missed. Mm-hmm. I was very diplomatic and very nice, but I'm a person, I believe in improving processes. So I shared with him at that time, I said, what I really could have benefited from, and what would have made me feel not just welcome, but appreciated as a new employee and as one who is trying to envision building an institution and moving it forward, is to have heard from the individuals at the top to say, hey, this is who I am. I want to introduce myself. What are your plans? Those things make a difference.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'll never forget when I used to work at WFT. I was a fundraiser for the PBS and NPR affiliate. And, I was probably 7 or 8 steps below down the chain from the dean's office at the College of Journalism. But every couple of weeks, she would walk the halls and just make a point of hearing, who we were. And she would sit down, she'd come into my office and just chat. And she had no idea what the details of my job were. And right. She cared about who I was as a person. And that made me want to work extra hard at that job. That's it.
That to me is one of the ways that we improve workplace culture. Right there, being visible, that improves. That makes such a huge difference. So yeah, I'm glad we're on the same page with that.
Oh yeah, I think we'll find ourselves on the same page a lot.
I think so. I'm looking forward to that. Well, here's where I am, Commissioner Ward. I have had back-to-back meetings today, as I'm sure you are familiar with. And I actually have got to get prepared for another one right now. I welcome this opportunity. I want you to know that the kind of person that I am wide open. And I want you to know that as far as I'm concerned, this does not have to be the last time that we do this, these types of little introductory powwows. You know what I'm saying? I want to let you know that I do have an open door policy. I welcome the opportunity to speak with you and to share ideas and to see how we can both do what it is that we both want to do, which is move this great city of Gainesville forward.
Absolutely. And I will tell you that, you know, when things open up a little bit here at City Hall, it is so nice to, my favorite day of the week used to be Fridays because there weren't a lot of meetings scheduled. So I would just kind of wander around and have accidental conversations with folks. I treasure that. And I look forward to having those opportunities again with you and everybody else in the building. And I will tell you that, you know, whether we always agree or not is not a concern for me. If we can build a relationship and we understand where each other are coming from, we don't have to agree all the time to continue to respect each other. That's always my
absolutely. Absolutely, and it's mine too. I think basic human respect is something that both I think it might have been in me before I made it to the planet, but I certainly know it was nurtured in me by my family. So you can definitely count on that from me.
Very good. All right. Well, it's been a pleasure talking with you, and again, thank you for
likewise. For sure. Thank you, Commissioner Ward. I look forward to seeing you soon.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.